Alright guys, this is the EB7 step through from JASON, and we're going to be talking about this full suspension fat tire folding bike in today's video. So first and foremost, let's cover some of the top specs. Most of that was in the intro. We do have full suspension up here in the front fork, suspension here in the rear. Fat tires, we've got these 20 by 3 inch tires. Now 20 by 3 inches is one of my favorite tire widths. I mean, I like, 26 by 3s, 27.5 by 3s, whatever, but I like the 3 inches because I think it's a good blend of the fat tire benefits that you get, people looking for stability, maybe some more off-road capability, but the 3 inches still has a little bit more of that traditional bike tire feel, so really cool to see those here. We've got mechanical brakes, both in the front and the rear. I believe these are 160 millimeter rotors on here. They're 180s. Oh, they look a little bit smaller. I guess it's those beefy tires. So we got 180 millimeter rotors here. So pretty decent stopping power for the speeds that you can go. Top speed here is supposed to be 28 miles per hour. We'll see how fast we can get it going in the ride test portion. It is folding, so this stem's going to fold down right here. We can fold this down, and we can also fold the frame. That's going to give us a nice little folding package. Pedals fold as well. So quite a few interesting things about this bike. We do have this included rear rack here, which is pretty wide. Seems to be pretty sturdy. Matches well with the frame. We also got a full set of fenders on it. So really, when you first look at it, it kind of looks like, this is just a regular kind of step-through folding bike. We've seen similar bikes to this. But then you're like, oh, well, it's full suspension. You're like, oh, it's also got the rack and the fender, everything's included. We've got taillight here that's integrated, headlight up front, and so quite a few interesting things. And let's just go through piece by piece and talk about those different specs. So the first one is going to be the motor, which is back here in the back. This is a JASON branded motor. Now, online, it is rated for 800 watts, and I believe that is the max output, not the nominal output. So my guess is this is closer to a 500 watt motor. At least that's how it feels. That also comes out a little bit to the controller, which is only a 10 amp controller in here, which is a little bit on the smaller side. What that means is you are going to be able to get some better range out of the battery, because the battery is also 10 amp hours. So there is some benefits to that. If you're not looking for top speed, having a controller that's a little bit more dialed down, pull less amperage, and that is going to give us longer range with the battery that we have. Now, it does have quite a bit of get up and go. Again, not super sporty, but it gets up to speed, pretty quickly. And again, if you're looking to go anywhere between 20 to 25 miles per hour, based on the little bit of riding that I've done, which at this point isn't much, it does get you up to that speed, and it does sustain that speed pretty well. So kind of comes down to the use case, how you're going to be using it, but the motor here, I think, does the job for this bike and sort of what I would imagine a person who's using this bike for would need it to do. So pretty decent, not too loud. You'll see a little bit on the ride test, pretty much on par with the Bafangs or the truck runs, or the other sort of motors that we get into. So motor setup and power wise, definitely a little bit more on the toned down side, but again, still enough for the use case, I think. The next thing we'll talk about is the battery. Now the battery is here in the down tube. So in order to get to that, it's similar to Lectric or some other bikes. It's sleeved up here in the down tube. So all we had to do is use our key to unlock this battery, unfold the bike, and we can pull that battery out, which we will probably do when we get to the folding section. 48 volt system, 10 amp hour battery, as I had mentioned. So not huge, not terribly impressive, but it is on par with sort of the Lectric style of bike as far as amp hours go in the battery. Now you do need the key to operate it. I've got the keys down here. I'll probably pop one of these off and just leave one key in here. So this is what's actually going to turn the bike. It's in the off position, so that's going to turn it on, and then to unlock it, as I said, you're just going to turn it. There we go. You got to push it in a little bit. So that's what's going to unlock the bike here for us. I'm going to leave it on because I'm about to go do some riding on it. So battery-wise, fits in here. Now with some of these, at least, going back to like the very first review I ever did, which was on the Walkie what was that called? It was a fat tire bike. It was a full-size folding bike, and on the walkie it did have a little bit of battery jiggle. Here there's nothing, so they got a good fit in there in the down tube, which is nice. And so that pretty much covers it for the battery. The next thing we want to talk about is our drivetrain. So up here in the front, we've got these Shimano SIS index shifter, very common on this style of bike. This is one of the cheaper but fairly reliable shifters up here. It would be cool to see some rapid fires or something on here, but for the price point, which as of today I believe is $789 as I'm recording this, so that price could change, but something we would expect to see on a bike like this. And that is connected back here to our Shimano shifter, our derailleur, Shimano tourney. And we do have a derailleur guard here, which is nice, especially with folding bikes. A lot of these tend to get laid down on their side, so having this here to protect the derailleur is nice. So that way, if you do lay it down on the side, you're laying it down on this, sorry, there's a mosquito, and not on the derailleur itself. So that's nice. And as far as shifting goes, shifts through the gears all right, and we'll do a little bit more of that on the ride test, but no real complaints as far as that goes. Bigger chainring up front, so ghost pedaling shouldn't be an issue. Again, we'll see when we get to the ride test, but all in all, it looks like it's set up to go the speeds that it's supposed to go, so not too shabby. The next thing we'll talk about is the controls. So up here we've got our control pad. Now this is a control pad that we've seen on bikes for a couple of years, and maybe it's a little bit cheaper, but I kind of like it. It's big, it's easy to see. You've got all the buttons labeled real well. We got our up and down power button. We can switch through different things, turn on our lights. But this one also has its own independent light button here and a horn, which will work when we turn it on. So to turn it on, we're going to press and hold this button here. And that's going to turn on our screen on this side. See if I can get a better angle to see it. Maybe that's the better angle. And right now it's in pedal assist level 5, so it is going to stay on the pedal assist level that it was on before. So we go to from 0 up to 5. And then, like I said, with that I button, we can shift through what we're seeing. So that's our odometer, max speed, average speed, trip distance. So couple of different things we can see there. Now you can press and hold this to, we're going to press it to dim the screen, because it doesn't actually turn the lights on, right? So with some of these setups where they have an external button here and they still have the functionality built into the control pad here, so we can press this to turn the lights on. So that's actually going to turn our front light on. You see that's on, and our rear light, which you can see, it's not actually flashing, it's just a refresh rate thing. So this is solid right now, so that is good there. Now up here, if you're riding at night, the screen will still be pretty bright. That's the the middle of the day, so it doesn't look terribly bright right here. But at night, the screen will be pretty bright, so you can press this button to dim the screen. It's not going to affect your lights at all, but that's just something that you can do. Something, because we have this extra pad here, that's something you can do on your side to dim the screen down a little bit, so it's going to make it easier to ride at night, so this isn't too bright as you're riding. It does have a horn, pretty loud horn actually, so that is definitely something where somebody's going to be able to hear that from quite a ways away. And as far as braking goes, we do have brake integration, so as we see if I can zoom in on that in post, but as you pull it down, that is going to flash now, and so that's going to let people know that you're coming to a stop. So as far as that stuff goes, pretty nice. We've also got a reflector here as well. No sidewall reflective stripes on the tires, as we're thinking about like nighttime safety things. So that would be a cool upgrade to see. But otherwise, having braking integration, integrated lights here is pretty nice. Now, as far as like how do we get the power, you can do that with pedal assist. So we'll be pedaling. This is a cadence system, so not a torque system, which just basically means for cadence, there's magnets in there. As those magnets are rotating around, it's going to be on or off as far as the power goes, and then our level of pedal assist is going to dictate our top speed. With torque, it's a little bit different. It actually senses the pressure you put down onto the pedals, and that's what gives you your power. So it's more of a percentage of power versus a top speed when it goes back and forth between cadence and torque. And that's kind of a simplification, but for anybody who's ridden both types of drivetrains, you'll know that that is, it's fairly accurate in my opinion. And then our throttle on this side, speaking of ways we can go, we can use our throttle to go. So you see that's going to, it's going to 32 right here without any weight or pressure of going. So definitely is going to get us to above 20 miles per hour, which is nice. Some people, they want the throttle to go up to 28 miles per hour as well as the pedal assist. And that's maybe it's in a gray area as far as class 3 goes when you're looking at the federal guidelines for classifications of e-bikes. But it is nice to be able to have some extra power here with that twist throttle. Now the brakes here, as I mentioned, these are unbranded mechanical brakes. And the difference between mechanical and hydraulic, mechanical takes a little bit more mechanical pressure of us actually putting force on these because we're actually braking it. Whereas hydraulic, it's all about the pressure that's in the lines that's going to allow you to brake with a little less pressure with your fingers. So that is maybe the downside to mechanical, but they do function pretty well. I haven't tuned them, as far as like tightening them up, making sure they're tuned. Out of the box, it came pretty well. It stops, and so that's what I need brakes to do. We also have this extra line, as you can see here, going out, which means that we do have motor cutoff inhibitors, and we can test that by rocking it to the side, so the throttle's going, and this is our front brake, but it's already cut power to the motor. Power's back, cutting power to the motor. So a nice little safety thing that we do have that motor cutoff inhibitor there. Up in the front, as far as cable management goes, we do get this nice little sleeve here. It's just Velcro on the back, so if you want to adjust something, you can get this, and that kind of cleans up the front quite a bit. When it comes to cable management, a lot of bikes just kind of have, cables everywhere, so it is cool that they included this so we can, it makes it a little bit sleeker, and then all of our cables are managed and we don't have to worry about that. Now this bike is for somebody who's a little bit shorter, probably anywhere around 5 foot to, I believe they list the top at 6'3" on the website. And what a lot of folding bikes get wrong here, let me go ahead and turn this off real quick, is when you go to bring this up, you run out of cabling. So right here, this is the top that it would go, and a little bit tight on the cabling, but if you bring it down just a smidge, it still gives us plenty of cabling to turn the bike. So maybe a little bit longer of a cable here would get us all the way up to that top speed, or that top position. But here you can go pretty high, and then for our seat height, I'm gonna adjust that up. That's where our minimum insertion is. Right about there. Take a step back. As you can see, that would fit somebody who is definitely closer to 6 foot, have a good pedal geometry, and the handlebars would be pretty high as well. So really, really close to being perfect here, and really the only thing I think as far as improvements could go, giving us a little bit more cabling here so we can get to that top height on the handlebars. So all in all, pretty good here. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about is the tires. As I mentioned in the intro, 3-inch tires are kind of my favorite width. You get a lot of the benefits of having a fatter tire, but also it's a little bit more nimble like a traditional bike tire. These ones also have some decent knobs on the sides, so I wouldn't necessarily worry about these going off-road at all. So you should be able to have good traction on-road, and if you're going to do some light off-road stuff. Turn that off, had the lights on there. The other couple things we have are a place to mount a front basket. So you can do that. JASION also offers a front basket you can get for this thing if you wanted to do that. And the fenders here are a plastic fender, which I'm kind of a fan of plastic in general. With the metal fenders, they can scratch and rust and things like that. And for something that's going to be taking a beating, having something that's a little bit more plastic I think is good. They're a little bit on the flimsy side, but I think they do the job well. Where they're mounted, everything's pretty good. And we also have these little rubber flap extenders, which is pretty cool, and that's on the front and the rear. So pretty good coverage as far as the fenders go. The tires, it says on the side to inflate them to 40 psi, so I'm running about 38 in both of these. You could probably run them a little bit less if you wanted to. You're looking for a little bit more cushion, but you know, kind of random standard, it seems to work pretty well. As far as the suspension goes, we've got our front fork suspension here. We've got our lockout and preload adjustments on here. Not a whole lot of travel, as you can see, but you know, it is better than a straight front fork. So you do have a little bit of suspension up here, which is going to kind of eliminate some of that wrist fatigue you might get. And in the back, we've got this adjustable rear shock, so you can basically just twist this and adjust it for a different sort of ride feel in the back. So all in all, it is a pretty sweet bike. I'm gonna go ahead and fold it up, show you guys what that looks like folded up, and we'll take that battery in and out, and we'll see how easy that is to get in and out in the next clip. All right, so let's go ahead and fold the bike up. Now you can do this two ways. You can do stem first. I like to do the stem first, or you could do it the other way around. Again, this is in our highest position, and we still have plenty of cabling here, which is nice. A couple of safety things, so they're all like two-stage folding clips here. Go ahead and fold this up. Now, one of the nice things about most of the folding bikes is we do have this little stand here at the bottom, and so that's actually what the bike is resting on, not the pedals, nothing else. So that is pretty nice. And like I mentioned, our battery is down here. We do have a little carrying handle, which is nice. Now for these bikes, there's not a two-stage pull-out system, so we're gonna go ahead and unlock it, and then the battery will just slide out once we remove the key. I'm gonna have to rock it up a little bit, slide this out, set it back down, and we are in business. So like I mentioned, this is a 10 amp hour battery, 480 watt hours here, and yeah, pretty nice, JASON branded. It's not too heavy actually, which is pretty nice. A lot of these batteries tend to be a little bit thicker. I mean, almost double the thickness, you know, and they are larger capacity batteries, but this one's nice, slides in pretty easily. Go ahead and lift the bike up again, slide this in there. Get our key in the bottom. Lock it in, turn it on, set it back down, and we are in business. Now it will fold up a little bit neater. You see, like I got the pedal kind of in the wrong spot there, and that's something you just mess around with as far as when you start folding it in, folding it out, you'll find that sweet spot. So this one, the pedals probably rotated back a little bit would be better. That pedal would be coming here, and we'll be able to fold this in a little bit tighter. But we do have the stem that folds the right way, which is nice. If you guys have seen my recent mock wheel slate video, you'll know that they kind of missed the mark on that one. So it is, you know, it's refreshing to see a stem that folds the right way. So that is it folded up. Go ahead and give you a walk around of what that looks like. Now for this, we can bring this down, help us with our folding dimensions here. And now this becomes a pretty nice little package. You know, most of these folding bikes, they're not super small. I mean, still a fairly decent sized, you know, package, but this would be something you could easily fit into the back of, you know, probably a larger sedan, or if you've got an SUV, something like that, probably slide 3 or 4 of those in the back if you have the seats down. So really on par with a lot of the folding bikes. Now to unfold it, pretty simple. Go ahead and do the stem first. Kaboom. Let's see here. There we go. Get that folded up. And blammo, we are ready for the ride test portion. So went through all of the specs, folding, unfolding. Let's go ahead and throw on a helmet and we'll take it for a test ride. All right guys, we are out here for a test ride. Let's go ahead and turn it on with our power button here on the left hand side. And put in pedal assist level 1, and let's go ahead and see where our throttle is going to get us. Pedal assist level 1. So 1 will take us to about 9 miles per hour. Let's go to level 2. About 13. 3. About 19. 4. Still getting some power here. Takes to about 23. Probably gets to about 24. Let's go ahead and put in pedal assist level 5. We got full power here. And that'll take me to about 25, 26 or so. And we got a little bit of a headwind here, so that is not that's not helping. It's a very upright riding position, so I am creating quite a bit of wind resistance here. All right, let's go ahead and stop. Nice easy stopping here. And let's go ahead and I'm gonna downshift. And we'll put it in pedal assist level 0 and kind of feel what this feels like as a regular bike. First gear, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then 7th. I feel like 5th is probably, if you're out of juice, I think 5th is probably the best. Maybe 4th. I think 4th is probably the most efficient pedaling gear here. It's really not too bad. We'll go ahead and put it in pedal assist level 1. And all of our top speed should be about the same, so about 9. 2 is going to take us up to 14 or so. 3. About to 20. Now there's a little bit of a delay when the power goes on and a little bit of delay when the power goes off. So just something to pay attention to is as you're going. It takes about 2 seconds to get some power. And then it probably takes about a second for the power to cut off. Although I guess when you're going a little bit slower, it turns on. Yeah, it's probably about if you're going slower, it takes about a second, I think, to turn off. So not too bad. Don't let these guys pull out over here. Some ducks over there. As I was mentioning earlier when we were pedaling it, it is a fairly upright riding position. Let's go ahead and put it into pedal assist level 5 and see what our top speed is going to be here. Again, a little bit lower of a power curve. At about 22, I would say we start getting into some ghost pedaling. Oh, I hit a... Yeah, let's go to a cul-de-sac and test our top speed, guys. Come on. We'll hit a U here and try to get top speed on the way out. So I think it's about the same delay when you're pedaling fast. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. But because the power curve is a little bit flatter than most, I think it just takes a little bit for us to start feeling the motor here. Let's go ahead and do a top speed run here. So at about 22 miles per hour, I would say we start getting to the ghost pedaling range. So anything after 22, you're not really putting down that much pressure on the pedals, or you're just pedaling really fast. So I'd say, yeah, about 22. So I'm pedaling pretty quick. And you can do that. You can just pedal real fast. Then there's no ghost pedaling. But I would say as far as like how fast we're going, 22 to 23 is probably the cutoff before you start getting a little bit of ghost pedaling. But if you just want a nice leisurely ride, it's like right now I'm not really putting any pressure on the pedals, but I'm just keeping the magnets rotating so we can get that top speed. Which again for me looks like it's gonna be about 26 miles per hour. Now if you were smaller, lighter, it'd probably be easier for you to get up to that top speed of 28 miles per hour. The power is still working, so it's not like it's cutting off. It's just having a little bit of trouble getting me there. So I think the top speed of 28 miles per hour makes a lot of sense. So go ahead and do another braking test real quick. Nice, easy, controlled stop. Not too shabby. So we're gonna head back to where we started, kind of alongside the road here, on the side of the road, and we'll see how she handles. There's a couple of like potholes and some good bumps and stuff, so we'll test out that full suspension. Now because we got these 20-inch tires, a little bit less of an attack angle than some of the larger tires. But pedaling right through. Now this is pretty bumpy terrain. I guess I would say that I still feel it, but I can tell some of it's being absorbed quite a bit. That was a bit of a bump there. So you feel the suspension doing a little bit of work. It's by no means a long travel suspension. And again, 20-inch tires, the attack angle and all this stuff is going to be a little bit exaggerated. But yeah, all in all, it's handling pretty good. Definitely not wanting to get up to top speeds going through this grass. Torque wise, we're probably looking at 45 to 50 Newton meters, which, if you've ridden e-bikes that have, 90, 100, 120, that's not a whole lot of torque. And then we've got this lesser power curve. But if you're not in a hurry and just kind of cruising along, it is not too bad. Now as far as what the suspension can handle, it's sort of like rougher terrains, probably what you're looking at for the max here. This is something you don't want to take off jumps or drops or anything like that. But you can cruise right along in the grass. And if you're doing some more hard packed terrain, I imagine that would also be pretty good as well. Well guys, I think that is going to do it for our review here. If you want to know more about it, I will have a link down to Jason's website down below. And if you guys have any questions for me, let me know down in the comments. I love talking to you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.